The habit of creating an environment, your hidden superpower for success. Do you ever feel like you're forcing yourself to be productive, but nothing ever clicks? It's just not quite working? Well, today we're going to dive into something that's going to show you that maybe the problem isn't you, it's your environment. So, we're going to talk about something most people overlook when they're changing their lives: the power of your environment. Forget willpower, forget motivation for right now. Let's talk about something that's way more reliable.
We often include working into willpower or something. Willpower taking that in all of our environment, including the solution, the book, the life. I talk more to you agree.
The myth of motivation and willpower. Motivation fades, energy dips, willpower runs out. These are resources that diminish throughout your day. Think about it. They're probably strongest in the morning when you first wake up. Then, as the day goes on and we get tired, or we have some challenges, or there's some stress involved, all of those things fade. Those are resources that diminish. So, while they're important to your success, you can't fully rely on those because, again, they're just not sustainable. So, what's a better long term strategy? Use your environment as fuel, right? Don't fight the current, change the riverbed. The environment you work in, the environment you live in, the environment that your relationships are in is something that's always under your control. You always have a big impact on your environment. So focus on that. That's a great strategy, using your environment as fuel. The power of setting up the right environment. Imagine being a writer. You're working on your laptop and you're writing and you're creating every single day, but your laptop's old and it's just not reliable, right? So it crashes and you lose things that you've written because it didn't save, or it's tough, it's clunky, and sometimes it doesn't work the right way. Well, even though you're a writer who's aspiring and maybe you're very good at it, the environment of your laptop, what that's creating, is going to hold you back because your setup, your environment either holds you back or propels you forward, one or the other. And that's something that you can, for the most part, always control. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be a monk's monastery, but it does got to be something that you do intentionally, something that you set up purposefully, that design. Because again, it's going to be, environment is so powerful that it's going to take you forward or hold you back. And it all depends on how you design it. And remember, even little changes to your environment compound over time and lead to huge positive results. The 3 pillars of a strong environment. First, good equipment matters. Don't underestimate the power of a comfortable chair, adequate lighting, a reliable computer, the tools and technology you need to be successful. Those are impactful. And again, things that you can control. And that's first part of your environment. The second part is the people part, right? We all need other people in order to be successful. We need those win-win relationships. What you want to do is make sure you minimize the doubters and minimize the downers, minimize the pessimists, and maximize the optimists and the realists and people that are supportive, that share common values and common goals. Those are the people that add to the environment that will help you be successful. And then your physical space. Right? If you have a cluttered space, you're going to have a cluttered mindset. And all the research shows that people who work in open spaces with natural lighting, that are organized and have things set up in a way that makes them easy to access, are more productive than people who don't. Now, we've all heard the people who are like, I can work in any environment. And that's true. Any of us can work in any environment. The question is, can you be productive in any environment? And would a more well-designed space allow you to be even more productive and organized? And that answer is yes, right? Again, research shows clutter distracts, being uncluttered adds to productivity. So when it comes to creating a great environment, those are 3 pillars that are important: your tools, the people, and the space. Making your space work for you. It's more than just aesthetics. Some of that sounds like aesthetics. Like if we say organized and uncluttered, that sounds like maybe that's just an aesthetic thing and it's more pleasing to the eye. But again, data and research shows that when you do something and you design it that way and you remove all that clutter, you will be more productive. So that's just true. So it's not just aesthetics, but simple upgrades, again, which may seem aesthetic and are aesthetic to some extent, can really motivate you. So, putting up the pictures of your family in the office, plants if you like plants, motivational posters, all those things may sound cheesy, but it creates that environment that allows you to be more creative and think clearer and productive and energized and motivated. So again, while part of that is aesthetic, part of it does absolutely lead to a better environment, which makes you more productive. Serena has a what most would call a cheesy sign that said, today is a good day to have a good day. And you know what? It works. It's one of those things that even when I'm working with Serena in that environment, in his office, sometimes if I'm having a bad day or have some challenges, I look at that sign and it's just that reminder, right? So little things like that, while they might seem cheesy at the surface level, can often have a profound and deep impact. So what you want to do is customize your space so that it consistently energizes you. Guarding against distractions. That's part of your environment as well. Life throws news at you all day long. Distractions, text, alert, likes, social media, all of those things. You're getting bombarded with that all day long, right? And that's always going to happen. And you can't control that, but you can manage your response. So using your phone, and by the way, a typical iPhone, any smartphone, has all sorts of built-in tools to help you minimize distractions, where you can turn things off, turn alerts off, minimize the things that pop up, make your phone create areas of downtime and focus time. So utilize all those things. Again, that's easy to control. You just have to do it. And that's going to help you technologically minimize distractions, but also managing your response to those distractions. So when they come through and you do see things, it doesn't throw you off kilter. It doesn't steal your emotion. It doesn't lead you down this tunnel of distraction. We use a term sometimes that we joke about called IADHD. And that's when you go to your phone, right, your iPhone, and you go to check one thing that you meant to do. And the next thing you know, it's been 30 minutes and you've checked a million things. You forgot what you initially even wanted to use your phone for, right? So again, reacting, control. This is when I check emails. This is the time I allot to go on social. I don't let that run me. I run that. And then think about other things in your environment, right? Music. Some people perform better and are more productive when there's music in the background. Other people, it can distract you. You just need to be in silence. So figure out what works for you. And by the way, half of the world will say you should have some sort of music in the background. The other half will say, no, you want to work in silence and that sort of thing. But figure out what works for you. Or, Serena will use the example with health and fitness, right? You need to take care of your health. And sometimes people are just better doing things themselves. They work out in their garage, at home, and they get very effective workouts. Other people can't bring themselves to do that. They need to go to a facility and work out around other people, right? And you'll hear people argue that it's better to work out in groups, better to work out at facilities. Other people say it's better to be at home and just do your thing there. Whatever works for you, that's the environment you want to be in, right? So know what helps you thrive, figure out what does work, and then double down on that. The time, place, and science of habit. Serena likes to cite James Clear, the author, but your brain links habits to environments, right? And that's really important. So as an example, we know how sleep is important, yet far too few of us get the amount of sleep we need to maximize our health and productivity and brain function, right? Well, what happens is a lot of us watch TV in bed, or we play on our phones in bed. Well, what you do, according to James Clear, is you start linking those habits to the environment. So your bed no longer becomes a place to sleep and recover, it becomes a place where we watch TV, or it becomes a place we check our phone. So then we start diminishing the effect of our bed and being a great environment for actually sleep. And again, we know that sleep is so important, right? So try not to use your bed as the place to watch TV. Try not to use your bed as the place to check your phone and be on social media. Create zones for those things. Again, it's not just our bed, but the kitchen table, right? Don't work at the kitchen table. That should be a place for family time, friend time, where you enjoy a meal and you socialize and you nurture relationships. But when you're also working there, the brain starts to confuse what that's for and diminishes the experience that the table should be there. And that's that, again, social component of having meals together. So again, create work zones. Your office is your office. Your work chair is your work chair. Your bed is for sleep. Your kitchen table is for eating dinners with the family, those sort of things. And Serena has been on an interesting journey because of his disability. There are times he's like, man, I wish I could have just grabbed my laptop and worked anywhere. But because of that disability, his office is set up really well for him, and that's where he has to do his work. But it really, for him, he figured out was a blessing in disguise, because now when he is other places, he's not whipping out his laptop and working on it, or his phone and being on it. He's actually being present in those environments and maximizing what those environments are for. Don't eliminate distractions, manage them. Serena always tells people, and it's very important, that a certain amount of mind wandering is a good thing, right? A lot of times we're involved in a project, and I know personally this is how it works for me. I'll be working really hard on something or trying to figure something out, and I feel like I hit a roadblock or it gets really difficult. I step away. I let the mind wander. I think about other things. I do other tasks. I go for a walk. And I oftentimes then come back, and without having learned anything new or done anything different other than letting my mind wander and detaching a little bit, All of a sudden I see something differently. I can solve a problem. I can deal with a challenge, right? So that mind wandering is good, but distractions are bad, right? And those are things that actually take us away from solving those problems, right? So you have to make sure that you understand the difference between a good session of letting your mind wander and detaching a little bit versus being distractive. Serena will tell you that musings and creative ideas often come in the downtime, right? Think about the last time you had a great idea for that new service your business wants to offer or a new way to approach a relationship or those things. Oftentimes they happen at these downtime, not when you're sitting there critically trying to think about it, right? I know for me personally, a lot of times during exercise, I'll be like, ooh, I have an idea, right? So think about that. So it's good to detach. But again, musings and creative ideas tend to come in those downtimes. You got to let your brain breathe. Don't fill it with noise all the time. And that's contrary to what a lot of people will say is you got to go 110% all the time. You should work 24/7, all of those things. If you do that, you don't give yourself the downtime, the purposeful distractions, the mind wandering to actually grow and creatively think. But Serena will tell you, and he loves this quote, the muse speaks in whispers. If you're always scrolling, you never hear them. So the goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. And in order to do that, we've got to control our environment because it is the one thing that is always there, right? Again, motivation can go up and down, discipline fades, all those things, even though they are important components, they're not always reliable. Your environment is. And when it comes to that, think about those three pillars. Do you have the tools you need in your environment to be successful? Are you surrounded by the right people in your environment to be successful? Is your space conducive to you being successful? And always control what you can. So we want you to think about this. What is one small change that can have a massive impact on your success and productivity that you can make in your environment today? Think about that and then make it.